issue with regards to the judiciary coming under attack from Dr. Fred Matiang'i, according to Raila Odinga, isn't the first thing we are hearing. In the build-up to the repeat presidential elections of October 26th, President Kenyatta made remarks terming judges who nullified his election of 8th August 2017 as wakora, even specifying to say that tutaonana na hao kwa debe. We have Raila Odinga, who in 2013, despite coming out to say that he was content with the ruling by the Supreme Court, then chaired by former Chief Justice William Mutunga, later on accusing the judiciary, and before filing the petition in 2017 to challenging President Kenyatta's win, saying that the Supreme Court should now have to redeem itself, a statement that were not clear according to many Kenyans. So what's your view with regards to this? Because the new constitution was put in place to give independent institutions and independent arms of government the leeway to exercise the constitutional mandate which was envisioned upon them to serve Kenyans. Mark?
You know, the independence does not mean freedom from criticism. Okay. I think this is the most critical thing that Kenyans need to learn. If we understand that the judiciary being criticized, it's being attacked, then we miss the whole point of freedom of speech. The president, just like me and just like everyone else, has the right to express his opinion concerning the judiciary. So does Raila Odinga. An attack will have to be in the manner that government, is it withdrawing money from the judiciary? Okay. Is it stifling the operations of the judiciary? The government is not doing that. Okay. What is happening is the judgments from various judges are being brought into question. And I'll give you a few matters that to me are of concern as a citizen. Okay. There's the matter of court injunctions, where if there's a road being built in my county, I can go to court and get an injunction, and that injunction lasts more than a year. Our procurement cycle is 12 months. Okay. Beyond 12 months, you have to rebudget and start the process again, and the money goes back to Treasury. Okay. And that money cannot be spent on anything else. This is part of the problem we have in this country. It is not, for me, an issue of the judiciary being under attack, but for me, it is an issue of the judiciary needing to upgrade. Okay. For example, and I said this on this show, that Miguna was not deported. Okay. Number two, he never wanted to come into this country. This is evidenced by the fact that he hid his passport. He knows very well you cannot enter this country using a national ID. And therefore, the government did not deport Miguna because he never arrived in Kenya. Now, people may not like that, but that's the truth. That means that whatever Judge Odunga gave as an order was impossible to fulfill because the individual never landed in Kenya.
He was in no man's land.
Yes. You understand? Okay. So we need to mix this thing with a bit of understanding. Criticism is fine and it's okay. It happens. Even if you go to committee maximum prison today, you will find someone who was rightfully convicted of murder and he'll tell you the sentence is unfair. That is his opinion. So criticizing what a judge says does not mean you're undermining his authority. And that's the difference between the executive and the judiciary as it stands today. But at the same time, I must say that disobeying court orders as well is not the solution. The solution has to be that there has to be a conversation between the executive and the judiciary to come to an understanding about how these things are supposed to be done. Because on more than one occasion, the executive has had to roll out a plan, for example, build a road, because it has been under injunction in court for 3 years. Who are you damaging? Will you look after the interest of the one person, or do we look after the interest of the entire nation?
And of course, there is room for appeal,
yes, if
not contented with the ruling. Coming to you, Karl Marx, we have just touched on that story of Raila Odinga telling CS Fred Matiang'i to stop being reckless. This is with regards to the statements that he made about Miguna when he appeared before the parliamentary committee, saying that what they have done was in accordance with the law and that they were never served with court orders. So this is an interesting story, and it has many perspectives to view from. But how do you see the NASA leaders warning to Fred Matiang'i and the previous statements that he did made himself, and the general attacks on the judiciary? Could it lead to a situation where we are likely going to undermine the independence of the judiciary?
You know, in a cultivated democracy, a sophisticated one, yes, Parliament will summon the public officials, yes, actually to put fire on their feet. But you could see what happened on Tuesday. Totally, it was a different case.
Okay.
Because our members of parliament were turned into hibabrols, they were turned into chemists. And so you ask yourself that if the members of parliament were competing, they were competing for the court gesturing the CS Matiang'i and actually demeaning the same court, okay? So you ask yourself that, is this the parliament that we are talking of to bring Kenyans to some light? Okay. Because the public, the parliamentary committee, their role is about representation. It's about oversight. It's about legislation. And all that was dead. You cannot give an edited content to the parliament, to the parliamentary committee in the name of an executive, hamstringing them, gagging them on what to do. So from there, you will see that the CS, actually CS could even call the judiciary to be evil. That term alone is a convict already. He cannot judge a judge. So the rule of law must always be respected. It must always be obeyed. Whether you are aggrieved or not, whether you dislike it or not, the most important thing is that you must always obey it. And you could see, he will lie, and even lied, that he has never been served with any court order. That is, on the other hand, he's saying that there are some 13 expatriate court orders that they have actually received. Okay. And in this case, he's talking of them as like they have also appealed. So do you appeal what you've not been served? I think it is disgusting, it is disheartening that we have a country whereby the impunity is now reigning supreme. We need to understand that if we don't have the independence of these given institutions, and that is why they are anchored within the Constitution. If you look at the Article 159 and 160, actually that is where now the arrogance and the narcissists, the vanguards, were protected by the judiciary so that nobody could have actually attacked them in that order. Okay. We need to give space for our institutions to work. Okay. But we cannot always gag them in the name of the executive must always be reigning supreme in everything. Okay. Sometimes we need to understand that the representation that we need, are we giving Kenyans what they deserve? So the court, the judiciary, as we speak today, it is under attack. Okay. And we are the people, we need to come out and actually protect the court. Okay. We cannot protect the court by actually clapping for the people who believe that arrogancy, one-man syndrome, proving power, will make them reach anywhere. Okay. It doesn't work like that.
Okay. The common idea here is that criticism is allowed in a democracy so that institutions do flourish, and orders that they do make or judgments made by judges can be appealed, can be criticized, but positively, while in this case respecting their independence as per the law.
It should not amount to threats, intimidations, setbacks, and also blackmailing.
Like we did see what you mentioned from President Kenyatta, William Ruto, Raila Odinga, the NASA leader, and also CS Fred Matiang'i, who has been hot on the heels of the judiciary and judicial officers. Coming to you, Kerry.
Yes.
The discussion was ongoing. Your thoughts on Raila Odinga's statement on Matiang'i and the general criticism of the judiciary. Are we having a positive criticism as a country, or what we are seeing is the judiciary becoming a prey for both the executive, the opposition, and the entire government?
I just want all of us Kenyans to understand one thing, that the rule of law is sacrosanct. Okay. We cannot compromise on the rule of law. Those of us who don't have big names from our parents don't have anywhere else to run to other than the courts and the rule of law. I would like government, and want to use this show to ask government to audit a department called State Law Office. Okay. That is where the Achil Hills is on matters rule of law. They present very underwhelming cases and expect to win. Okay. They go to court, present very underwhelming defenses and expect to win. I have been in cases on several occasions and wondered who recruits these lawyers. I'm sorry to say so. Okay. And I don't want to undermine those who represent government. But that department of government, for lack of a better word, is rotten. Okay. And the new AG has a responsibility to support those Kenyans who work in that department by offering them advanced training. Okay. A very good example is the Miguna case. Yes. with all due respect to the lawyer who went to court, yes. You do not assign that he's competent, yes, but you don't assign them against the likes of Orengo and Kaminwa. At that level, the AG himself would have gone to court. You don't assign somebody who has not had experience of over 5 years. Okay. And you could see that he was completely confused. The judge gave him time over and over again to substantiate his issues. Okay. At one point, he even said that he's unable to get their clients. Okay. So if you are unable to get a client, why are you coming to court? Who has given you instructions to go to court? Okay. But bottom line is separating personalities from this issue. Yeah. It is a moral responsibility for each of us as Kenyans to obey court orders. Okay. It is very plain. Okay. Criticism is allowed. Mm-hmm. And the best way to criticize, for example, that was a High Court ruling, is through an appeal in the Court of Appeal. Yeah. Then go through the legal system. Okay. If you don't make it, then now you can come with a substantive complaint and say, I've gone through this judicial appeal, judicial process, yes. But my issues are not being processed well. Okay. So I have a feeling that this judiciary is compromised. Okay. But you cannot bundle the judiciary as compromised on account of one case. Okay. Let us be sober. Okay. I agree that we need to criticize judiciary. Okay. We've done so. Some of us have criticized judiciary in court. We've criticized judges, and they take it with humility. Yes. We've criticized after they've made a ruling. We say, Your Honor, I don't agree. Mm-hmm. I feel that I was not heard. And they'll say, if you feel I didn't do it very well, you can go to the next level. And that is the level of engagement that we must have as Kenyans. Let's separate personalities, whatever Matiang'i said, whatever Raila said. Let us look at this as a bigger picture. Okay. What is good for us? The good thing for us is that each of us must be subject to the rule of law, period.
Okay, you did mention that...